got a chance to see the new Sophie Turner independent film, Trust. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanka. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about this independent film, Trust, because I got to see it today. But on top of that, I'm very interested about the actual production of it. I've done a little bit of research and have not found out a whole lot about it. So this film, of course, stars Sophie Turner. She's also a producer. So this is directed by Carlson Young, who I thought originally was a man, but it's not. It's a woman, and she's an actress. She's only directed a couple of things, and the writer is Gigi. I'm going to screw this up. Lavangi, I guess that's right, Gigi Lavangi, who is mostly a novelist. She hasn't written screenplays at all. I think she has one other before this. So the only way I see this happening is if these people were all just friends, like they're both actresses. So the director says, hey, I got this, which is also an actress. She says, hey, I have a friend of mine that wrote this screenplay or whatever, and, she wants to make it, and will you, be in it? And that's how she becomes a producer on it. And this is produced by Twisted Pictures, who did Saw. But this is not a Saw movie by any chance. There's, very little gore in this whole thing. There's more blood splatter than there is gore. And so that's how I see this kind of happening. They did shoot a piece of this in Canada from what I saw at the post-credits. But what also I found out was that they shot it in Dominican Republic, where they had a 25% tax rebate. And on top of that, they don't have to deal with the unions. So they probably took a few people, flew down there, and it mostly takes place inside a house, although they had to create this thing to have almost like a tank, because it does fill up with water. So they had to have some kind of a sound stage, because I'm sure that the house was not going to let them fill up one of the rooms with water. And then on top of that, where do you put the camera? So, so this is a story, because I had no idea what I was walking into when I did. Really, the only reason I went to see this film was because it was a semi-horror based, or so I thought. And on top of that, it had Sophie Turner in it. So I'm like, yeah, let's go see it. Let's support independent film. And she's trying to do an independent movie. So let's support it. So I went, it was only playing one time. It only has one showing per night. And then this was the first showing only for the day. So it only was only showing at like 2 o'clock. And then by then, that was it. It was only one in the afternoon. So I ran over there in the afternoon, hoping that my phone wasn't going to blow up, and I was fine, actually. So we have Sophie Turner in this. We have Katey Sagal, who was from Sons of Anarchy and Married with Children. And she plays almost a comic relief in this, so it's pretty funny. So that's what I'm saying. It's not really a horror movie, because it doesn't take itself seriously at all. So it has some dramatic moments in it, but for the most part, you're just there for having a good time, I guess. Also, Billy Campbell is in it, who is from The Rocketeer. That's the thing I know him most from. He's from the 4400. He just had a very small role in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Anyway, he's really good. And at parts they dress him up like Michael Landon, but we'll We'll get into that in a second. Also, Peter Mensa's in this from Spartacus. He's done a pile of things, but that's what I know him most from is Spartacus. But he was just in the last Gladiator movie as well. He's very, very recognizable. He's great. So the cast is generally small, but if they shot all of it in the Dominican Republic, which means that they flew everybody out. However, they were probably getting crew on the ground very inexpensively, and if they were shooting it there, they didn't have to worry about any fringes, they didn't have to worry about SAG, they didn't have to worry about anything. They just shot it there, and that was it. Although I still can't see them getting away with anything less than $10 million. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 7, and they had 25% of that, so it came in like 5 or 6, 5.5 million at the end of it. I don't know. But even if it was 10, they could come in after the 25% rebate, unless they were using the rebate to raise the money, which a lot of people do. Even the stuff that we're trying to do right now, people are selling off the rebate. So investors will come in and invest against the rebate because it guarantees their money back. So that's how that works. But so let's say they didn't. They had the cash, and they came in at 10. That would leave them at like 7.5 million to do. So I don't know if that's the case. Then maybe streaming or whatever else, because right now they are making no money in the theaters, and they got Republic and Universal to distribute it, but they didn't put any marketing money behind this thing at all. It's the oddest thing. Why throw it out to the theaters and not market it? It doesn't make any sense. But all of these, and I think that's why independent films have to have some kind of a marketing budget in their budget, because the studios, networks or the studios that are distributing, which is most of them, Universal, Paramount, Disney, those are all distribution companies on top of, the fact that they make their own movies, which I think they're going to do more and more distribution and less of making their own movies because they can't be profitable because their budgets are too high. But why not have any kind of marketing budget whatsoever? I'm just very, very confused by how this works. This movie's made like $500,000. Period. That's it. And it's already going out of the theater. So if they're getting half of that money, and I didn't see any distribution internationally out of that. So I don't know if this thing just never released internationally, or they just sold the stuff off, and they sold off territories, and they're just it was one shot to sell off those territories to raise the money. So therefore, we're not even going to see any numbers internationally. But if it's just domestic, then they're getting, $250,000 back? So they still have, even if it's 7.5 million, as far as a net budget, they still have 7.25 million to get back. I'm not seeing, unless they make a major deal for streaming. I don't know. They would have to get somebody to come in with exclusive, or they'd have to sell it at $2 million a pop per streamer. I don't know how it's gonna work. But anyway, the movie is about Lauren Lane, who is a child star on a sitcom. Anyway, before we get any further into the story, because I'm gonna give you the basics of the story. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can, subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. Also remember, too, that I am a writer myself, so you can check out my stuff on Amazon. Just type my name in or click the link in the description below. It has my 4-novel epic sci-fi quadrilogy in there called Destiny Aurora. So if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Trek, Star Wars, it's all got little pieces in there of that. But it is a space adventure with an eclectic crew. It was made into a board game, an RPG, a graphic novel. It's also on Audible, and I think you'll love it if you like sci-fi. Also, all my stuff is on Kindle. So, all including my YA fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. So, if you like dragons and magic and, Game of Thrones type of stuff, you're going to love that one. Also, we did launch Fairy Tales of Terror, my new graphic novel featuring a psycho Cinderella, a murderous Captain Hook, and they're being tracked around New York City by Neverland's Tiger Lily. It's just lots of fun, and the artwork is great. I didn't do the artwork myself, so I'm not patting myself on the back, though. Although the writing's good, too. Anyway, we're about to hit $4,000. We've already unlocked a stretch goal, so we're only a few $100s from unlocking the next one. And when we hit $5,500, I actually have a Cinderella figure that we did and stuff like that. So it's going to be lots of fun. QR code is here or link in the description below, but definitely jump in there right now while you can. There's only a few weeks left of the campaign. All right, so let's get back into the story of Trust. So the title is kind of sucky, by the way. I would not have called... I don't know what is with the people calling names of things just odd, where you have no idea what the thing's about. There really isn't anything in here that pertains to Trust, by the way. So, she is a child star on this sitcom, and she's been on this sitcom, I guess, forever. But Billy Campbell plays the dad. So she's playing younger than... I think she's in her 30s now. So she's playing in her 20s for the most part. But anyway, they made him look like Michael Landon because they gave him... when they first saw the wig that he had on, and it's shaped like Michael Landon, I thought, did they, CGI this guy to bring Michael Landon back? And then I realized that it was Billy Campbell. But I swear it was Michael Landon there for a second. To the point where I leaned forward. So anyway, because obviously Michael Landon's been dead for many years. But anyway, so it basically starts out with her as a child, which the child actress was very good, going into a casting call, and I bet it was. So I have the same issue that I had here. So you're walking into this casting call had a couple of women in it, but for the most part, it was all men. I would never, ever, ever send my daughter at 10 years old into a casting room with a bunch of men alone. No way. I'd be in there. So I did this, actually. I had a casting call for a 10-year-old girl for Six Gun Savior, which was my Western. And I was shocked that I invited the parents in for exactly that reason. And 90% of them said no. That they act differently when the parents are in the room. I would get my daughter to get used to that shit. Because again, there would be no way. The funny part is that when that happened, she was really good. She did, some TV stuff after that. And now she's about to get married. She's done. She's engaged. But anyway, she ended up on a show on Netflix called Malibu Rescue, where she was the lead. But I've noticed that she's 10 years old. And she was also in my Aminara thing. And now she towers over me. She's taller than I am. But anyway, so that's how it starts out. And it brought back memories to me because, of course, that I had that experience. But then it fast forwards to her being older, in her 20s. I guess she's still on the same show. But her phone was hacked. I guess a hacker hacked a bunch of phones. Kind of like what happened, I guess, in the early 2000s with Jennifer Lawrence and stuff like that, where nude photos were leaked and stuff like that. But one of the photos had a pregnancy test that's a positive. And I guess she took a picture of it for whatever reason. But anyway, that photo leaked, and that all of that ended up with a internet explosion to the point where she left town. Her assistants or whatever else got her an Airbnb, and she just left town just to get her head on straight. And then, of course, everybody's wondering who the baby daddy is and all this stuff. And then when she's there, she has her dog named Georgie. And katey Sagal ends up being a dog enthusiast. I'm just going to leave it at that. A dog enthusiast. But anyway, she's the comic relief of this. And I thought she did a really good job. She was a little awkward to begin with, but because I wasn't sure if she was a good guy or a bad guy. But then when you realize what she is, it was funny. Anyway, then the rest of the film mostly takes place in this Airbnb, which was a very nice Airbnb, who is being managed. The owners are out of the country, and it's being managed by a guy who's associated with like drug dealers and thieves. His uncle is like a thief or whatever. So anyway, it becomes a home invasion movie, is basically what happens. And then the baby daddy is not happy with her possibly even having the child, and he sends an assassin after her. So there's three parties basically in this triangle, one being her and two being criminals. But anyway, she gets stuck in the... Now, how does she ever get into a garage to go... I don't know and she ends up being in the boiler room, right? She ends up locking herself in the boiler room that has a metal door. Okay? And the door handle's very strange for being a boiler room. I don't know. It was all very weird. But maybe that's how it is in the Dominican Republic. I don't know. But anyway, so she ends up... so both handles fall off, right? And then the door is still locked, right? But she ends up finding a crowbar where she's like trying to go through the walls and all this other stuff with this crowbar. It never ever occurs to her that she could just knock the thing out of the... Right? Because you have the hole in the door, right? And you have the mechanism is totally exposed now because both handles came off. So all she had to do was knock the lock out. But that never occurred to her. So instead, she's trying to lock the walls while she's trying to do this. She ends up finding a hammer in the wall because the rat stole it. That was the weirdest thing. I don't know why a rat would steal a thing. But anyway... I don't know how you carry a hammer around, but anyway, she ends up finding tools. But the film is extremely average for sure. I had fun with it, but it's not worth seeing in the theater. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Whether you're a fan of Sophie Turner or not, or the full cast for that matter, because the cast is really good. And, again, for all I know, they were all just friends. They wanted to make a movie together. So they, flew them all down to the Dominican Republic and shot this thing. Although I can't really see Billy Campbell. I don't know whether they shot the actual scene because they had a stage for the sitcom. So I don't know. I'd be surprised if they flew him out just to do a couple of days' work. I don't know, but it might be worth it. But that might have been the deal. Hey, I'll give you scale, which is $600 to $1,000 a day, if you just come and play with us, and we'll fly you down to Dominican Republic and you have a little vacation or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of deals were made on that, especially if they were all friends. But anyway, that's the story there. But I'd wait for streaming for this, but it's worth watching on streaming. It was a fun little movie that has a little bit of twists and turns, and you're doing one of these continuously on some of the decisions that are made by both the bad guys and by her. It had some really nice drone shots of driving in the country and stuff like that. And again, the Airbnb was really cool looking. So it has some stuff to look at for sure. But if you're a fan of Sophie Turner, I'd support her regardless. It's funny too because She basically wears little boy shorts and a sports bra for the majority of the film. And so you get to see, her whole body for the most part. And she has an X-Men, because remember, she was in X-Men as Phoenix on the really bad X-Men movies. But she has an X-Men tattoo, like a X in a circle, tattooed on her body, on her by her ribs, on her side. It's very interesting. I was surprised by that. Anyway, that's it for me. So it's very average, very average. So I'm going to give this a 5.5 out of 10. So you can't get more average than that. But it was a fun little time at the movies. But it's going to be, is it going to stick in my head? Probably not. Probably not. All right, remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. Also, remember, too, to check out my stuff on Amazon. Just type my name in, or there's a link in the description below. And definitely jump into Fairy Tales of Terror. QR code is here. Link in the description below. Help us cross that 4,000, if not 5,000 mark, and help us unlock that Cinderella little miniature thing that we're going to be giving away. All right. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.